Well, hey, boys and girls, here we are at Issues, that wonderful talk show that makes you think and then it makes you not want to think anymore. And that's what I've been doing a lot, not thinking. And it really makes me feel a lot better when I go to bed at night when I don't think about this stuff. But you know what? It's holiday season, and I'm just so happy. We made it through our second season here at Issues. We can't wait for the next year, folks. It's going to be one heck of a year with all this politics stuff going on and Occupy Mayhem. And, you know, the whole reason I do this whole political show is so we get to years like what's going to come up. And so I'm just like looking forward to that. But let's get on to some of the issues here today in California, shall we? One of the big things right now is the high-speed rail project. That's right, we're trying to get all this funding together to be able to do a lot of high-speed railing from Los Angeles to San Francisco. Well, you know, back in the 80s, folks, I did a lot of high-speed railing myself. You know, I used to be able to do a few of these and go pretty fast and get a lot of stuff done. And, you know, I spent a lot of money in those days, but the $43 billion that they're thinking about for this train project is a bit much, don't you think? Anyway, I don't know how that's going to work, folks. The only way they're going to be able to get that through is to get rid of some of these employee pensions. And that's what they're working on in San Jose right now as we speak. They're trying to figure out a way to start busting up the unions. All the retired folks think they got retirement money coming to them. And you people at home that are union members thinking you're just going to be all so snug as a bug in a rug when you retire. Well, guess what? This is a shock, folks. These people want to break up the unions. They want to break the contract that they have with San Jose union workers. They're going to take away their pensions. They're going to destroy the unions, folks. Well, that's something to think about, isn't it? But you know what really caught me off guard was I hear old Hillary Clinton's going around the world telling people that she's going to give them a bunch of money. Well, I think here in United States, we need some money here. I mean, why don't some of these people start giving us some money? But I got my special foreign correspondent, Mr. Pierre Otter, all the way via satellite from Switzerland to tell us all about what Hillary's up to. Pierre, what's going on out there? Shall we hear?
Bonjour, mademoiselles and messieurs. This is Pierre Otter, here, your foreign correspondent on the Spilly Chili Show. And that's right, we are here in the Swiss Alps to follow the very special Miss Hillary Clinton on her world tour. That's right. She's been going to all these wonderful places and doing all these wonderful things. For instance, just a few days ago, she went to Burma, folks. I thought I should show you where Burma was in case if you didn't know, because I don't know where it is. And she's there, and she's telling these people here that, oh, you're being very democratic and you're being so nice to your people that we're going to give you lots of money. That's right. That's right. We're going to give all the Burma people money, folks. You Americans, yes, that's you out there in TV land. You're going to have to give Burma money. Aren't you so happy about that? And then Miss Hillary, that's right, Miss Hillary Clinton, she's such a superstar in the world. She came here to Switzerland, and you know what she did here in Switzerland, folks? Well, she's talking to all these gay people and telling them, we are going to support you no matter where you live, or if you have AIDS, we'll give you money and pills, and we'll take care of you, all you wonderful gay people in the world. And that's right, just you people at home, that's right, you got to pay the bill. It's kind of like if you had a girlfriend you're going to get married to, and she went and took all your credit cards and started spending all your money, you know. She's kind of out there spending all these cash to people. Wait a minute, cash? She's writing it to cash? Well, I guess that's how government works these days, folks. So anyway, you Americans out there, you make sure you give your money to all these foreign countries that you don't know about, and that way your debt will get deeper and the bankers will be happy with the interest, and we'll all be very happy too. So good night from Switzerland. Mwah, I love you all. Mwah, good night, good night, good night.
Well, thank you, Pierre. That was a very interesting report on Hillary's spending spree. I guess when you're spending other people's money, it's a lot easier to do. And I wish you guys would stop spending our money and kind of spend it here at home. You know, Burma, they're mean people, folks. They don't like us at all, and yet we're going to kick them cash. Christ. And speaking of other people that we kick cash, then they don't like us very much. It's Pakistan. I can't tell you how many billions and billions of dollars we dumped in over the last 10 years just to be able to have our war in Afghanistan. And yet here we go. We accidentally slaughtered 25 people in a village. Yeah, that's right. We did it. Oh, whoops. And what are we going to do to make up for that? Well, we're going to give them some more money. That's right, folks. We'll give them a lot more money. And, yeah, our deficit, we don't have to worry about that because this super committee completely failed on any sort of deficit reduction. So what the hell? Let's spend as much money as we can. And then, the big issue in Iran, we're trying to figure out how we can start that war with Iran. We're screwing them every which way we can with sanctions and whatnot. And lo and behold, they go and storm the British embassy a couple weeks ago and get all mad at us for doing these sanctions. And Britain decides, well, we're going to pull out all of our representatives out of that embassy and close the embassy down. And now it's death to the Britons instead of death to the Americans. And so let's let Britain start that war, shall we? Why not? There's no way we'll get involved with it, huh? I mean, if Britain starts the war, we won't get involved, right? I know you understand that as well as I do. But anyway, here are more local issues. This is one of the ones that kills me. I don't know if you guys have been as cold as I've been. It's been freezing where I live. What's this? What's this? Well, anyway, this wood burning ban thing is kind of, this is important, but this wood burning ban thing, I'm freezing and I need to fire up the wood burning stove to stay warm at night, and they're telling me it's a spare the air day and wood burning's illegal. Well, how am I supposed to stay warm? Oh, buy more energy from PG&E, folks. That's what it's all about. On these super cold nights when you need to run the heater, don't use wood. You can be burning gas and coal and all kinds of other things to make the environment horrible. Don't worry about the wood, folks. Oh, my goodness. Well, anyway, urgent message. Barack Obama is speaking today, enforcing the fact that we need to continue the payroll tax cuts. Well, I found out last night, folks, payroll tax cuts, that's what supplies money to Social Security. That's right. And now Republicans for years and years and years, folks, have been trying to get rid of Social Security. It's going to go bankrupt. But our Democratic leader, President Obama, is now saying we have to have these payroll tax cuts to keep the economy running. Well, most Americans are on the instant gratification policy, and the happier they are now, they don't really care about what happens later. Wake up, folks! Wake up! This is your Social Security money. They're destroying Social Security. We're going to go bankrupt even sooner thanks to your Democratic leader, folks. He's supposed to be supporting these programs, not destroying them. Oh, that's right. It's going to get deeper and deeper, folks. But anyway, you old people that are relying on Social Security, guess what? You're not going to be real happy when all the cuts start hitting. And it's going to be my generation too, folks. It's not going to be nice. And those Social Security checks that we all going to need to rely on, well, they're gone. It's not going to happen anymore. But anyway, that's it for the news now. Let's hit something a little bit lighter, shall we? I've got a great interview with Ray Newkirk, the owner and manager of the Green Station gas station on Ocean Street. They're the ones that do the biodiesel stuff. So let's get on to that, and then I think we have a closing moment with Robert Norris, and I'll get back to you after that, okay? Well, all right, folks, here I am with Ray Newkirk, the owner and manager of the Green Station. That's that cool biodiesel place on Ocean Street. Ray, thank you so much for coming down and hanging out with us.
Yeah,
How's
thanks for
everything
having
going?
me.
Well, you guys out there, you probably know when this place went in. It was an empty thing for a long time, and they had some U-Haul trucks, and then out of nowhere comes this biodiesel thing. And I remember I was thinking, well, what the hell is that all about? And it turns out this is like one of the coolest things that we got going for us in this country. Some really cool people thought, why throw away all this vegetable shortening and vegetable oils from all these fat fryers, and let's make some gasoline out of it. And I'm going to talk to Ray about how he did that. But Ray, first, just tell me a little bit about yourself. I really don't know anything about you.
Well, I'm a contractor. I do a lot of remodeling and repairs and stuff. I've built a few homes. I've done a nice big straw bale house. I've been trying to keep it as green as I can. You know, and I always kind of had a conflict in my mind of trying to be a greenie and a builder and chopping down trees in order to do what I can, and you know, jumping in my truck. And I felt like every time I got in my truck, I was adding to war and problems of other sorts. And so one day, a guy who was working for me said, "Do you ever hear about biodiesel?" And I went, "Well, not really. It sounds real interesting." I instantly thought about, yeah, well, I could see that, you know, biological process to make diesel fuel out of it. And it turns out it was pretty easy to make, so we made a batch and didn't know what we were going to do with it at first because neither of us had a diesel truck, but somebody right out of the blue dropped a 240D Mercedes on us from 1976. It had a failing transmission. You could only go about 40 miles an hour in first gear winding it out, but it had a diesel engine in it. Perfect. So we tried it out and it worked, and we made a couple more batches and drove up and down Branson 40 at 35 miles an hour. And then after that, I thought, well, then we started making it, and I thought, this is great for 3 people, but what about everybody else? So that's when we started, my first company was Pacific Biofuel, and that was in 2003 when we made it legal. You know, we sold kind of under the table, you know, with paying all the proper taxes and all that, if the IRS is listening, but you know, we were paying, we were selling it out of the back of a trailer behind my biodiesel van that I bought from a beer distributor.
Too funny.
You know, so yeah, but then after doing that for about 2 years, that's when we got totally legalized and started, you know, doing a real delivery system. We did that for a couple of years, and then we've been in that spot on Ocean Street since 2006.
Yeah,
so we've been there about 5 years
now.
Yeah.
Well, now what's in the process of taking this vegetable oil and turning it into biodiesel? Now, without revealing all your secrets, about how many steps are involved?
It's not that big of a deal. You take the grease and you have to add a couple of chemicals to it, which is methanol and lye, basically. And the methanol is used to, and the lye are used to crack the glycerin molecule from the oil. So it makes it a lot thinner. So it transfers through your fuel system a lot better than just straight vegetable oil. Because there's a lot of confusion around, what do I need to convert my car to biodiesel? Well, if you have a diesel engine to start with, you don't need to do anything in most cases. But the confusion is where everybody thinks about, you know, I have to convert to run on straight vegetable oil, which is true. You have to put a heater in there in order to melt the oil because it tends to coagulate at a really high temperature. And so, you know, a jelly shortening kind of a consistency is not going to go through your fuel lines.
I see. So
but with biodiesel,
it's more like Crisco than it is Wesson.
Right. But biodiesel is much thinner, and it's all, you know, ready to go. All you have to do is pull up to the pump, and that's it. No conversion required.
So where do you get your oil? Is there a cost involved other than transporting? Are people giving you this stuff, or do you have to?
Well, back when I started
cash?
people were actually paying to have tallow companies take it away.
Well, that's
so when
how
I
it used to be.
Yeah, so when I started offering to take it away for free so I could make biodiesel out of it, everybody was, yeah, take it. So we were, you know, back in those days when I first started, it was mostly getting it from the Saturn Cafe and the Malabar and a couple other little places. And, you know, but we were only making 100 gallons a week and that kind of thing. It's just, you know, like I said, 3 people using it. And, you know, then after that, you know, it's gone the other way now. Tallow companies are actually paying the restaurant owners, some of them, to take it away. There's still a lot of it kind of as a free exchange.
Right.
But grease is kind of hard to get these days because it has become a more wanted commodity.
Right. Now, so what, do you have to buy yours from the tallow
Well,
companies then?
we don't buy it from the tallow companies because we don't make it ourselves. We buy it straight from a couple of other companies who make it for us.
Okay.
And you know, so they're all ASTM certified. They've got the big production facility, you know, and they do it on a larger scale.
Okay, so you're just basically selling a product that's been manufactured someplace else now.
Right, but it's all from recycled oil. It's, you
Perfect.
know, I mean, there's ways you can make it from virgin oil too, but there's a lot of debates about that where, you know, people are concerned, you know, they're planting palm oils where there used to be, palm oil trees where there used to be virgin rainforest in Indonesia and stuff, and, you know, that's horrible stuff, and we don't condone that at all. And we, you know, there are a lot of other ways to make biofuels, including biodiesel and or ethanol, that don't have an impact. In fact, you know, a detrimental environmental impact. They actually can be beneficial in a lot of ways.
Cost-wise, I know you're charged a little bit more than the petroleum thing.
I'm glad you brought
But
that up.
there's the benefits, I'm sure, outweigh that extra cost. But how can we get that across to the consumer?
Well, I think the first thing we have to realize is that the petroleum industry as a whole is the most profitable industry on the face of the planet ever. They're also the most heavily subsidized. Even our good friend Ronald Reagan had an economic advisor who did a study, after the Reagan years, but he was Reagan's advisor while Reagan was president. And then in 2004, this guy Milton Kopolos did a study on the real cost of fuel, where he said if you add in all the military that just keeps the Straits of Hormuz open, we're not talking about war, because that's controversial. It's not an oil war. We're here to promote democracy. But anyway, so that, going across those lines, just keeping the Straits of Hormuz open so we can get our barges through back and forth in order to get crude out of the Middle East. And the land leases that don't get paid for by petroleum companies, especially in California.
In the Gulf, nobody's paying a penny for any of that stuff.
Right. And there's respiratory ailments that are directly linked to diesel exhaust that get paid for on Medicare, Medicaid, all that kind of stuff for people who don't have insurance. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes in that before you get to the pump that are costs that are, and the direct subsidies. And one of my favorites too is that BP was getting $125,000 a day tax credit for the rent they paid on the Deepwater Horizon that blew up.
Right.
Before it blew up. I don't know what they're doing now. They applied for a tax credit for helping clean up the Gulf too. But that's another story. But anyway, you add all that kind of stuff in, and Milton Kopolos said that we were already paying $11 a gallon in 2004. So right now, we're about a third of the price of that.
Right.
Well, we're at $4.31 a gallon right now, and up the street it's about $4.05, I think. But the petrodiesel on Ocean Street is cheaper than anywhere in the Bay Area, and so we're pretty comparable.
Yeah, no, I think it's really close.
And it's better for your engine, it's better for the earth, and it's better for local economies. You're not sending all your money straight overseas. There's a lot of reasons.
I don't know if you followed all that. He said a lot there. Here's the gist of it, folks, for you guys that are blonde like me. We're paying tax subsidies, so just because it says $3.85 on the sign doesn't mean that's what you're paying. You're paying whether you use it or not, folks. You're paying dearly for that gas that somebody else might use. So this is a good thing, this whole thing. We got to keep that in mind when we talk about this kind of stuff. That's beautiful, Ray. So Ray, you do more than just sell diesel fuel over there at your little green station. You guys got cars and trucks and stuff. What's up with all that?
Well, we sell neighborhood electric vehicles. They're vehicles that are just made to get around town. They go 25 to 35 miles an hour.
Well, like little golf cart kind of things? Or?
More or less. The ones we sell are not like golf carts. They actually look like cars. We even have one that's a little minivan there right now.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. And they're just made to get around town. There are studies out there that say that like 70% of all the vehicle trips taken in the U.S. are under 5 miles. So there's no reason to jump in the Hummer and go burn a half a gallon of Middle East oil when you can just jump in your electric vehicle that you charge at home and costs pennies to drive.
How much are those going for?
The one we have over there, we have a Zen. It's called ZENN, Zero Emissions, No Noise, and that one's going for $6,500, I believe. And that's a used. Both of these vehicles are used right now. And we have the Moose is the minivan. I think that's about $12,000. And then we have bikes and scooters too of various types. The main electric bicycle we sell is a Curry that goes for about $500, $550, depends exactly what it is. But they're electric bicycles that get you around. They don't go over about 20 miles an hour.
How can people get a hold of you?
We're at the corner of Ocean and SoCal. It's 433 Ocean Street. Our phone number is 425-9100, and we're on the web at thegreenstation.us.
Santa Cruzians with diesel cars, you can't go wrong. And Ray, you're a musician too, aren't you?
I try.
And there's the people that say you're not supposed to mix music and politics, but man, I'm glad you're doing it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ray.
Thanks a lot for having me.
All right, well, let's wrap it up then with a closing thought from Robert Norris, and we'll get on with the night. Thank you much. Very good.
Hi, I'm Robert Norris. I broadcast on free radio at 101.3 FM, and I'm also a supporter of Occupy Santa Cruz and HUF, Homeless United for Friendship and Freedom. In late November, a group of activists entered and occupied a vacant building, previously a bank, and declared they wanted to set up a community center. The Santa Cruz Police Department responded with riot police, baton strikes, riot guns, and a provocative display of excessive force. After 3 days, the activists peacefully withdrew from the building, leaving little, if any, damage quietly, as I said, and peacefully. The county has not stopped banks from continued foreclosures on homes of real people, homes that are not vacant. The city has not moved to ease rents by establishing renter protection or rent stabilization or rent control. Instead, what has happened? The police and the authorities that rule them have gone after Occupy Santa Cruz, the activists, the protesters, those working for reform, in steady force. Not content to have the federal courts rule on their proposed shutdown of the Occupy campground on January 4th, the Parks and Rec's boss, Danette Shoemaker, falsely claimed that there was a life-threatening emergency that required immediate administrative shutdown of the campground. The only trouble was, of course, she didn't say what exactly that was. I was confronted yesterday by Police Chief Kevin Vogel, who was guarding the Parks and Rec department with 7 police in riot gear from, I think, 4 or 5 activists who came to ask some questions about the department. We wanted to ask that question of Danette Shoemaker, what exactly was the life-threatening emergency that required deportation and evacuation and dispersal of 100 to 200 homeless people who have no place to go. The doors of the Parks and Rec Department were locked shut. The doors of City Hall were locked shut. And this, I want to remind you, is during business hours. What was the emergency that caused 90 to 120 riot police with batons outstretched to surround and attack a group of 20 campers in a dawn raid and a handful of activists who were struggling to help them reclaim their possessions before the police trampled their tents and trashed them? With a cold, angry sneer, Chief Vogel refused to answer me. The politicians and bureaucrats have turned over the Constitution to the cops and the sheriffs. In the last week, we've seen the sheriff seize and destroy the Dome, the central structure in front of the courthouse used by Occupy Santa Cruz to store their literature, keep warm at night, and protect their gear. We've seen the destruction of the tents along Water Street and the creation of forbidden zones there, which was once an area for public assembly. We've seen the seizure of literature and signs, of protective clothing and blankets with no receipts, no apologies, and no charges. But that was not enough for Police Chief Vogel and Sheriff Wowak. Dispersing a self-run encampment of 100 to 200 people with no legal place to go was not enough. In freezing weather, I might add. Those who are trying to help them are now in jail and on $25,000 bail as of today, December 9th. The charge is, quote, interfering with an officer. Last night, 2 women were given trespass tickets for insisting on their right to hold up Occupy Santa Cruz signs in front of the county building at night, something they had been doing for the previous 2.5 months. One was handcuffed and taken to jail. They both face 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. Are more and more of us going to be jailed for helping homeless people salvage their survival gear, which police are calling interfering with an officer? Will we be arrested for peacefully assembling in front of our county building at night as trespassers? Call the sheriff's office and the police chief, call the mayor, the city council, the board of supervisors, but most important, don't hide behind the illusion that this can't happen to you. Come down to the courthouse, come out on the streets, join the growing occupation movement as we move to restore fairness in a country that has turned its constitution over to the police. It will take more courage and commitment in the days ahead. Thanks. I'm Robert Norris. You can hear my show on Thursday nights, 6 to 8, and Sunday mornings, 9:30 to 1 in the afternoon on Free Radio Santa Cruz.
Well, folks, that brings us to a closing of another exciting episode of Issues, and I can't thank you enough for sticking through this. I sure hope you enjoyed it. We have a great time doing this, and I need to wish you guys all out there a Happy New Year and a prosperous one at that. Like I mentioned earlier, we got all kinds of great stuff coming up in this new year with the elections and everything. So I hope you stay tuned. I'm going to try to get as many politicians in as I possibly can. I remember a lot of them said they were going to show up and didn't at the last election year. But I think this one's going to be a little bit more important. And with all you people watching this show, these politicians know that it's important to be on this show. So anyway, I just want to take this second and hope you have a great holiday season and nothing but the best for your Happy New Year. Take care now.
G&G Tire Service, located on the corner of Capitola Road and 7th Avenue, where you'll find great deals on tires and wheels. We have hundreds of top-quality name-brand tires on stock. And fast-friendly service. Ask us about our layaway plan. G&G Tire Service, corner of Capitola Road and 7th Avenue. Mountain Mike's Pizza, where the freshest ingredients and delicious toppings equal great pizza. With a full salad bar, a buffet table, and a fun, family-friendly atmosphere. We got game rooms for the kids, 3 big screen TVs. Mountain Mike's Pizza, located at 3715 Portola Drive.